Hi everyone, it's Jeff from Mitosu Crafts. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to our channel. Today I am hopping along with the Global Stampin Video Hop with the theme of embossing. So any type of embossing technique for card making and paper crafts. So please check out the description below for more inspirations from the design team. So for my project today, I'm concentrating on embossing on black card. So I've used different types of embossing techniques. So I've used embossing folders as well as heat embossing on black card. I've got a couple of samples here on how to make the embossed designs pop even more on black card. So the first one, using craft white ink, sponging it on top after I've embossed the card. It does dull down the black card underneath. So I'll show you another make that I've created with that, but I wanted the black card to stand out even more as well. So the next one, this is a normal embossing folder, which is the winter snow design, and this one I Versamarked and sprinkled white embossing powder on the snowflakes and then heat emboss. And then I wanted to try a 3D embossing folder for more depth. So this one is using the Evergreen Forest 3D embossing folder, again with white powder. But I'm going to show you this one with silver embossing powder and the Parisian Florist 3D embossing folder. So this is the full design, and it's available on our online shop if you live in the UK, France, Germany, Austria, or the Netherlands. And product links will be included in the description below. And I'll be creating a card with the sentiment from Ornate Thanks. So I've got the new Stampin Up Cut and Emboss machine, or Suki for short, after our cat. And I'll be using that with the embossing. And on the main plate, you do have instructions on there on how to use your embossing folders. So with the 3D embossing folder, you'll need 1 and 4. For the normal one, you need 1 and 3. But remember, the number 3 plates or the cutting plates are two clear ones. So because we're using the Parisian 3D embossing folder, I'll be using 1 and 4. I have shown on previous live stream how to use older Stampin' Up embossing folder, like the dynamic texture embossing folder. So check out the video from our channel. So we have a black card measuring the card base front. So it's the same size, and I'm just gonna cut that down to size afterwards. And using the embossing folder to line it up, because I want the central design, the design in the center even. And I'm lining that on top, closing it up, and then running it through. So we already have the base plate, and then we'll adding the number 4 plate on top. So here we go. So because it's a 3D embossing folder, it does create a good depth within the card front. But as I mentioned earlier, I do want to highlight the design even further. So to do that, I am going to add Versamark ink on top. So use an embossing buddy to prepare your card first. And then use your Versamark ink pad to lightly apply on top. So you can just, without pressing too hard, just run it back and forth or in circular motion. And you can tell which areas has been covered because it become darker again. There we go. So once that's done, I'm gonna use silver embossing powder. I will have a smoother paper there, and silver is this one. So take your pick tool. You do have the spatula, and it's great for when you want to control where you're sprinkling the embossing powder. With the bigger card front, I can make sure that any like fingerprints or any embossing powder that's been taken off with my fingers, I can cut off for the final piece. So pick up a tiny bit of silver embossing powder and then just tap it lightly on top of your card, and let it fall down onto the Versamark covered areas, and then turn it over and tap it, so you only get certain areas with the powder. Turn it over and do the same. There you go. If you want to add more, you can go back and add a little bit more, but what you could do is also double emboss it, double heat emboss it. So I will heat emboss that now. Check out the description below for the product links that I've used today, which can be purchased from our online shop, as well as the next video from the Global Stampin Video Hop. If you do order from our online shop, be sure to use the current host code, and if your order is more than £45 before P&P, you will qualify for a free tutorial bundle designed by Stampin' Glam Squad. Here we go. So it only highlighted the areas with the embossing powder. To get the black card darker, use a clean sponge, even though that's tinted, that is clean, and then just sponge off the embossing body that you applied earlier on. To get it at slightly darker. There you go. So before I create the card with that, I'll quickly show you how to do the craft white. So I've already embossed it. Again, I'll just have that one. And what you could do as well is, if you want to add color to it, you can use your re-inker, the Whisper White. So add a couple of dots onto that, and I'm gonna use Bermuda Bay, and then again use your spatula to mix it up. So you can just tap on it until all of the ink has merged together or mixed together even. I'm just gonna use another sponge and then sponge lightly, so it just tints the craft white ink. So this is another way of highlighting the embossed design. And I finished the card using this technique, and I will show that at the end as well. So a good alternative if you don't want to do the heat embossing, and quite quick as well. So it's not pure white, it's got a hint of the Bermuda Bay on there. So I'm gonna cut this down because again I want that centralized. I'm gonna cut down 5 millimeters or 0.5 centimeter each side, or that is 3/16 of an inch. There we go. So for my sentiment, I'm using the huge thank you, and I'm actually gonna emboss that on vellum in gold as well. This measures an inch or 2.5 centimeters, and this is the full width of the vellum sheet as well. So I'm gonna actually wrap that around so you can use your piece and line that up so you kind of know that you have enough for both sides. And I'm gonna use that one and Versamark again. Before you do that, don't forget to prepare your vellum with embossing body, and I'm gonna ink up the stamp, and I'm gonna stamp. So this time I'm gonna use gold embossing powder. I think we need to get some more of this, and because I don't mind having, I want that fully covered, so I'm just sprinkling it on top without the take your pick tool spatula. Take off any excess. There we go, it looks amazing on vellum. And if you do get something in there, again, take your pick tool to the rescue. There we go. So now we're just gonna finish up the card. I'm gonna use Smoky Slate card base. So this measures 21 centimeters by 14.6 centimeter folded in half, or that's 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. But use your normal card base, and this one is just 1 centimeter smaller or 3/8 of an inch smaller than the card base. So we have this one. Just burnish it with the bone folder. Actually, before I add that on, I'm gonna place that where I want it. You could also use your multi-purpose liquid glue and add small dots underneath or behind the embossed sentiment. So that's why I wanted a huge sentiment as well. But again, you don't have to. If you have smaller sentiment, you can just align it onto your card and then pick it up, and then you can just fold the side of the vellum and then pinch it. And the glue underneath it does just help it stick underneath, but I'm sure it'll be fine as well without the glue if you have smaller sentiments. So just to help that on, I'm just gonna add tiny glue on there, but it will be glued underneath anyway. And then I'm just gonna add glue all around. Make sure it's not upside down. So if you have enjoyed yourself, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to our channel for more card making and papercraft inspiration using Stampin' Up products. There we go. And to finish up, I am just gonna add gems, so from Flowers for Every Season. So this one are loose and it hasn't got any adhesive, but you can use your multi-purpose liquid glue. Again, take your pick tool. So it is such a great tool to have. So you have double-ended and you have the putty there as well. I think I need some more. So you just turn that slightly and more putty will come out. And you could also get the brush, die brush as well. So I'm just gonna add a couple of gems and I'm gonna choose it. I'm gonna place it on here. There we go. So this is my card showcasing embossing with Stampin' Up products, and that is quite simple, but it's got loads of different embossing techniques. So you have the embossing folder and the heat embossing on the black card and on vellum. So I'll show you the card that I created with the craft white ink background. So this one I applied the craft white ink and then I heat emboss silver on there as well. And this one I didn't wrap around and it's actually loose, and I added the vellum with multi-purpose liquid glue again behind the letters. So which one do you prefer, the darker one or the craft white ink? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to check out the description as well for the product list and the next video from the Global Stampin' Design team. Thanks again for joining me today. Until next time, bye!